got to put the speaker up a little bit. You put that always up. That's good. Don't turn it up yet. Can you bring this up? Hare Krishna.
This is Michael. It's his first time ever coming.
Oh,
And he
hi,
met,
Vaish. Nice to meet you. Vaish.
Vaish? Okay, nice to meet you too.
and this he met the devotees through Michael Kramer at the
Oh.
He got a chant and be happy, and it had the address of the old temple.
At the new Living Expo.
And so he lives in Sunnyvale.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, close by.
So he's been reading tons. And
Yeah, I've been reading. I came.
So I just gave him a Bodily reader
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
because he really wants to.
Can you stay for the class?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I took the night off.
Oh, great.
For this, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I called in. I said, "Can I have the night off?" They said, "Yeah."
Well, there's we can give you chair or
Normally I work on Wednesday night. Yeah, so just tell me.
put a
where to
chair
sit.
for him. Wherever you like. You can sit.
In a chair or sit at one of the.
Okay.
Just got to go up.
When is this starting?
Yeah.
Jayorad. Give Michael box seats. Sit in a chair, it'd be easier. You like it? Okay. As you wish. Jayoradha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayoradha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Girivadadhari Gopi Janabalaba Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Girivadadhari Gopi Janabalaba Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jarunatira Vanachari Damunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Kanka, give him the mantra. Ma mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Go Premanande Haribo, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Harinam Mantra ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki, Go Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Parthasarthi Kartals, Puja Kartals, for the Hare Krishna singers. Go Premanande, Jai Gaura Haribol, 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 Thai Gaura Haribol. Welcome everyone to this live broadcast of the Holy Names, Transcendental Sound Vibration, filmed before a live studio audience. And the text-in number tonight is 650-245-7018. If you'd like to text in a message or just let us know that you're out there, get on your smartphone or dumb phone, whatever you have, and text in at 650-245-7018. And you can ask questions or make comments, and we have our operators standing by to take all your calls tonight. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Nena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripasindobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Haribo. Today we're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a book about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago to teach the process of devotional service. He was Krishna himself, but Krishna came as his own devotee to teach us the proper way to approach the spiritual world. And tonight's a special day. It's the appearance day of Sri Ramananda Roy, who is one of the great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Roy on his way to South India. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had just taken sannyas and he'd gone to Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, he converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who became a pure Vaishnav, pure worshipper of God. And after he had become purified, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that when you're traveling in South India, you should meet Ramananda Roy. He said that previously I met him and I just made fun of him. I didn't appreciate him because I wasn't a devotee at that time. But after becoming a devotee, now I see that he was the most exalted of devotees. And what he was engaged in was pure devotional service. So he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't miss meeting Ramananda Roy. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had embarked upon his trip to South India in a place called Kavur, he somehow or other, serendipitously, had met up with Ramananda Roy. And during that meeting, they had, of course, they met in public. Ramananda Roy was a public figure, like a governor. And he was, at that time, followed by many soldiers and all kinds of other entourage. And when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they went over and embraced, and they started to cry. But then they checked themselves because they saw that all the people were watching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Brahmin, and Ramananda Roy was a Kshatriya. So there was actually considered lower class. So at that time there was this intense distinction in classes, and they weren't to be seen together or, like that in public. So they checked their affection, and then later on Ramananda Roy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met for discussions about Krishna. And this chapter is a chapter called Talks Between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And that's what we're going to take up tonight. So a lot of this is new for you, Michael, tonight. But I'll go into various points and simplify them for myself first. And then I'll offer them back so that there's ways in which I can build a foundation for you to understand the context in which we're speaking. Okay? And if you have any questions, just let us know. The summary of the 8th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Prabhava Bhashya. After visiting the temple of Jadiya Narsingha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the banks of the river Godavari to a place known as Vidyanagara. When Srila Ramananda Roy went there to take his bath, they met. After introducing himself, Sri Ramananda Roy requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to remain in the village for some days. Honoring his request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there in the home of some Vedic Brahmana. In the evening, Srila Ramananda Roy used to come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Roy, who was clothed only in ordinary dress, offered the Lord respectful obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questioned him on the object and process of worship, and also asked him to recite verses from the Vedic literature. First of all, Srila Ramananda Roy enunciated the system of the Varnashram institution. He recited various verses about karmarpana, stating that everything should be dedicated to the Lord. He then spoke of detached action, knowledge mixed with devotional service, and finally the spontaneous loving service of the Lord. After hearing Srila Ramananda Roy recite some verses, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the principle of pure devotional service, devoid of all kinds of speculation. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy to explain the higher platform of devotional service. Then Srila Ramananda Roy explained unalloyed devotional service, love of Godhead, and serving the Lord in the moods of pure servitude, fraternity, and parental love. Finally, he spoke of serving the Lord in conjugal love. He then spoke of how conjugal love can be developed in various ways. This conjugal love attains its highest perfection in Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. He then described the position of Srimati Radharani and the transcendental mellows of love of God. Srila Ramananda Roy then recited a verse of his own concerning the platform of ecstatic vision, technically called Prema Vilas Vivarta. Srila Ramananda Roy also explained that all stages of conjugal love can be attained through the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan, especially by the mercy of the gopis. All these subject matters were thus vividly described. Gradually, Ramananda Roy could understand the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his real form, Ramananda Roy fell unconscious. After some days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy to retire from government service and come to Jagannath Puri. These descriptions of the meetings between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are taken from the notebook of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Text 1. Sancharya Ramabhidha Bhakta Mege Sabhakti Siddhanta Chayat Pratani Goradbhir Eter Amuna Vitirn Nais Tajgyatva Ratnalayatam Priyati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Gauranga, everyone say Gauranga, is the ocean of all conclusive knowledge in devotional service. He empowered Srila Ramananda Roy. He empowered who? who may be likened to a cloud of devotional service. This cloud was filled with the water of all the conclusive purports of devotional service and was empowered by the ocean to spread this water over the sea of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Thus the ocean of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became filled with the jewels of knowledge of pure devotional service. Text 2. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purvarite Prabhu Age, Gamana Karila, Jiyada Narsingha Kshetre Katadine Gila. According to his previous program, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went forward on his tour and after some day arrived at the place of pilgrimage known as Jiyada Narsingha. Purport. The Jiyada Narsingha temple is situated on the top of a hill about 5 miles away from Visakhapatnam. There is a railway station on the South Indian Railway known as Simachala. The temple known as Simachala is the best temple in the vicinity of Visakhapatnam. This temple is very affluent and is a typical example of the architecture of the area. On one stone tablet is the mention that formerly a queen covered the deity with gold plate. This is mentioned in the Visakhapatnam Gazetteer. About the temple, there are residential quarters for the priests and devotees. Indeed, at the present moment, there are many residential quarters to accommodate visiting devotees. The original deity is situated within the depths of the temple, but there is another deity, a duplicate, known as Vijaya Murti. This smaller deity can be moved from the temple and taken on public processions. Priests who generally belong to the Ramanuja Sampradaya are in charge of the deity worship. Narsingha Dekhiya Kaila Dandavat Pranati Prema Veshe Kaila Bahu Nritya Gita Stuti. Upon seeing the deity of Lord Narsingha in the temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his respectful obeisances by falling flat. Then in ecstatic love, he performed various dances, chanted, and offered prayers. Sri Narsingha Jai Narsingha Jai Jai Narsingha Prahlad Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. All glories to Lord Narsinghadev. All glories to Narsinghadev, who is the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like a honeybee is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Purport. The goddess of fortune is always embraced by Lord Narsinghadev. This is mentioned in the commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam written by the great commentator Srila Sridhar Swami. The following verse was composed by Sridhar Swami in his commentary on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vagisha yasya varane lakshmir yasya chavakshasi yasyaste hriya sambit tam Narsingha maham bhaje. Lord Narsinghadev is always assisted by Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and he is always embracing the goddess of fortune to his chest. The Lord is always complete in knowledge within himself. Let us offer our obeisances to Lord Narsinghadev. Similarly, in his commentary on the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sridhar Swami describes Lord Narsinghadev in this way. Pralada hridaya ladam bhakti vidyavadaranam sharadindurachim bande parindra varanam harim. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Narsinghadev, who is always enlightening Prahlad Maharaj within his heart and who always kills the nescience that attacks the devotee. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my obeisances unto him again and again. Text 6. Ugropyanugri vayam sapaktanam rakeshari keshariva sapotanam anyesham muga vikramaha. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narsinghadev is very, very soft and kind to devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. This verse was composed by Sridhar Swami in his commentary on the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 791. E matanana shloka paristuta koile, stuti koila, Narsingha seva kamala prasad anidila. In this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited different verses from the Shastra. The priest of Lord Narsingha then brought garlands and the remnants of the Lord's food and offered them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As usual, a Brahmin offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu an invitation. The Lord passed the night in the temple and then commenced his tour again. The next morning, in the great ecstasy of love, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started on his tour with no knowledge of the proper direction, and he continued the whole day and night. As previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted to Vaishnavism many people he met on the road. After some days, the Lord reached the banks of the river Godavari. When he saw the river Godavari, the Lord remembered the river Jamuna. And when he saw the forest on the banks of the river, he remembered Sri Vrindavan Dham. After performing his usual chanting and dancing for some time in this forest, the Lord crossed the river and took his bath on the other bank. After bathing in the river, the Lord walked a little distance from the bathing place and engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna. At that time, accompanied by the sounds of music, Ramananda Roy came there on a palanquin to take his bath. Many brahmanas, following the Vedic principles, accompanied Ramananda Roy. According to the Vedic rituals, Ramananda Roy took his bath and offered oblations to his forefathers. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that the person who had come to bathe in the river was Ramananda Roy. The Lord wanted so much to meet him that his mind immediately began running after him. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running after him mentally, he patiently remained sitting. Ramananda Roy, seeing the wonderful sannyasi, then came to see him. Srila Ramananda Roy then saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be as brilliant as 100 suns. The Lord was covered by a saffron garment. He was large in body and very strongly built, and his eyes were like lotus petals. When Ramananda Roy saw the wonderful sannyasi, he was struck with wonder. He went to him and immediately offered his respectful obeisances, falling down flat like a rod. The Lord stood up and asked Ramananda Roy to arise and chant the holy name of Krishna. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to embrace him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired whether he was Ramananda Roy, and he replied, "Yes, I am your very low servant, and I belong to the Shudra community." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Ramananda Roy very firmly. Indeed, both the master and the servant almost lost consciousness due to ecstatic love. Their natural love for each other was awakened in them both, and they embraced and fell to the ground. Purport: Srila Ramananda Roy was an incarnation of the gopi Vishaka. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Lord Krishna himself, there was naturally an awakening of love between Vishaka and Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combination of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, and the gopi Vishaka is the principal gopi assisting Srimati Radharani. Thus, the natural love between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awakened, and they embraced. Stamba Sweda Ashru Kampa Pulaka Vivaranya Dunhar Mukete Shuni Gadgad Krishna Varna. When they embraced each other's ecstatic symptoms, paralysis, perspiration, tears, shivering, paleness, and standing up of the bodily hairs appeared. The word Krishna came from their mouths, falteringly. When the stereotyped ritualistic brahmanas who were following the Vedic principles saw this ecstatic manifestation of love, they were struck with wonder. All these brahmanas began to reflect as follows. The brahmanas thought, "We can see that this sannyasi has a luster like the effulgence of Brahman. But how is it that he is crying upon embracing a Shudra, a member of the fourth caste in the social order?" They thought, "This Ramananda Roy is the governor of Madras, a highly learned and grave person, a Mahapandit, but upon touching this sannyasi, he has become restless like a madman." While the brahmanas were thinking in this way about the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw those outsiders and restrained his transcendental emotions. Purport: Ramananda Roy was intimately related to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore he can be accepted as the Sajatiya, a person within the intimate circle of the Lord. The Brahmanas, however, were followers of the Vedic rituals and were not able to have an intimate connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, they are called Vijatiya Loka. In other words, they were not pure devotees. One may be a highly learned Brahmana, but if he is not a pure devotee, he is a vijatiya, an outcast, one outside devotional service. In other words, a non-devotee. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy were embracing in ecstasy, the Lord restrained his transcendental emotions upon seeing the outsider Brahmin. 29. When they regained their sanity, they both sat down, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and began to speak as follows. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke of your good qualities, and he made a great endeavor to convince me to meet you. Indeed, I have come here just to meet you. It is very good that even without making an effort, I have gotten your interview here. Ramananda Roy replied, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thinks of me as his servant. Even in my absence, he is very careful to do me good. By his mercy, I have received your interview here. Consequently, I consider that today I have become a successful human being. I can see that you have bestowed special mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Therefore, you have touched me, although I am untouchable. This is due only to his love for you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan himself, and I am only a government servant interested in materialistic activities. Indeed, I am the lowest among men and the fourth caste. You do not fear the Vedic injunctions stating that you should not associate with the Shudra. You are not contemptuous of my touch, although in the Vedas you are forbidden to associate with Shudras. In the Bhagavad Gita purport, the Lord says, Mamhi partavya pashrita yepi su papayonaya striyo vaishastata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. So far, we're following the path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has left the Jagannath Puri and is traveling South India. He went to the temple of Lord Narsingha. That's one of the incarnations of Lord Krishna. Krishna comes in many different forms in the world. Although God is one, he appears in many different forms to associate with his devotees and to keep religious principles so that people can actually make advancement in life. So Lord Nrsingadev, in South India, there are many temples of this form of Lord Krishna called Lord Nrsingadev. So Nri means human and Sringha means lion. So he's a half man, half lion incarnation. As you see on the altar there on the right, yeah. That's Lord Nrsinga. We're very fortunate because in our temple we have this deity of Lord Nrsingadev, half man, half lion incarnation. We just celebrated his appearance day a couple of weeks ago. Or was it last week? Last week. And we also heard some prayers that were written by Sridhar Swami, who many, many years ago wrote a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was very much favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his Ishtadev was Lord Nrsingadev, interestingly enough. So he wrote those beautiful prayers, and we recite those. We took them right from this section of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And as I mentioned earlier, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after meeting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, heard about Ramananda Roy and wanted to meet him. And this is the root cause for advancement in devotional service, is meeting advanced devotees. Shuddha Bhakata Charananenu Bhajana Anukul. The most favorable thing for our devotional service is to meet the advanced devotees of the Lord. Just by association, the Shastra says, even for a small amount of time, we can receive the impetus for devotional service. There's a way in which the devotees carry Krishna within their heart. Krishna is within the heart of everyone, but someone who has awakened their love for Krishna has the Swarup Shakti, or the internal potency of Krishna within their hearts. And as Yudhishthira once said to Vidura, Bhavad Bida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Bibo Tirtha Kurvanti Tirtandi Swantakstena Gadabrita. He said, Vidura, you're a holy place personified. You're a walking holy place because you carry Krishna within your heart, and you purify even the holy places of pilgrimage personified. So Ramananda Roy was a very advanced devotee. He knew the science of Krishna consciousness, and as explained here on an internal level, actually, when God comes to this world, he appears with his associates. He doesn't come alone. Just like when the king travels, he doesn't go by himself. He comes with his retinue. So when Krishna comes into the material world, his associates from the spiritual world come to assist him in his pastimes in the material world. And Ramananda Roy is explained to be one of his eternal associates. So when they met, they felt these ecstatic emotions that were simply reawakened upon their meeting. And so you know there's something extraordinary, some extraordinary conversation that's going to take place. And this is what makes up the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's conversations between great souls. And simply by hearing these conversations, we can come to the perfect stage of devotional service. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya sakta mana parta yogam yunjan madashraya asamshayam samagramam yatagyasasi tatshrinu. And that is that if you just hear about me, Arjuna, he says, Krishna says, then you can come to know everything perfectly and become completely free from all that. Without doubt, you can know everything about this world and about the spiritual world. So the hearing process is very important. And this is the beginning stage of devotional service, is to hear. It's called Shravanam. If we simply give oral reception to the transcendental message about God, then the heart becomes purified and the science of God becomes clear to us. And even if one doesn't understand exactly what's being said in the beginning, we may not understand the language precisely, but if we have faith that there's something very valuable in it and we continue listening, then everything will be clarified in due course of time. So this is the beginning process of devotional service that leads to all advancement and to the higher stages of devotional service. So in this purport, we're hearing about how people from any situation of life can become elevated. Because at the time that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Roy, there was a very rigid sense of caste or one's designated situation in life. There was a hierarchy, and it was enforced, socially enforced. And if somebody mixed with other kinds of castes, it was considered an abomination. So there were eyebrows being raised when they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embracing Ramananda Roy, because he says he's from the Shudra caste. But according to the Vaishnavas, and according to Krishna, these kinds of designations, the material body, everyone's material body is different. There's not one person's the same as another. And there are various kinds of bodies, but they don't restrict one. It doesn't matter what situation one's in materially. There's no impediment to advancing in devotional service. And this is the point that is being made here, that those from any situation of life, in a high or low position in society, Prabhupada says, high and low positions in society were calculated by considering a person's Krishna consciousness. A Brahmin is considered to be on the highest platform because he knows Brahman, the absolute truth. The second caste, or the Kshatriya class, also know Kshatriya caste, also know Brahman, but not as well as the Brahmanas. The Vaishyas and Shudras do not clearly understand God consciousness, but if they take to Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master, they do not remain in the lower castes, Papayoni. This is clearly stated, Te piyanti paramgatim. So meaning anybody's eligible to advance in devotional service, regardless of one's material positions. Hare Krishna, Karanath Prabhu. Welcome to the Wednesday night Gita class. Happy you're here. Unless one has attained the highest standard of life, one cannot return home back to Godhead. So this highest standard of life means that one has reawakened a love for Krishna. And this science of how one leaves this body and then attains a higher destination or a lower destination is described by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita when he says, Yam yang vapi smaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram tam tame vaite kontaya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. That whatever one remembers when he quits this body, he will attain without fail. So bhavam in the verse means one's feeling. We're only left with our feeling when we leave this body. And those feelings are an accumulation of our impressions gained through our association and our activities throughout this lifetime. And that by the force of that consciousness will be impelled to another situation. So those who develop what is called unalloyed devotion for Krishna, they're always thinking of Krishna, which is natural. It's the most natural thing because we're intimately related with Krishna. We're his part and parcel. And we are sentient beings. We have feelings and emotions. So when we develop love for Krishna, naturally we'll think of him. Just as naturally as someone who has love for a son or a daughter or a mother or a father or a friend thinks about that friend or relative with a very intense feeling. So Krishna is as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the mother, I am the father, I am the best friend. And one can have a relationship with God in various kinds of relationships, in various kinds of moods. And so Krishna consciousness means awakening our relationship with Krishna, reestablishing that relationship. And when one has that, when one leaves this body and is thinking of Krishna, then Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamete surjuna. You don't take another material birth. There's no need to, because you have no attraction to the material world. The material body's given us a facility to help fulfill material desires. And if one has no more material desires, only has spiritual desires, then one is awarded a spiritual body. But even in this life, living in a material body, one who's fully engaged in Krishna consciousness is considered to be on the liberated platform, according to Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. Iha yasya harir dasye karmana manasa gira nikila apyavastastu jivan mukta su uchite. That is, the soul who lives in the material body, if he's or she is constantly engaged in devotional service, is liberated. No real connection to this material world. There's several verses in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna talks about how one who controls his senses and mind becomes dear to everyone. Everyone's dear to him. Such a person is always liberated. Yang samyasam iti prahur yogam tam iti pandava na hyasyan yasa sankalpa yogi bhavati tukaha. That whole discussion in the 5th chapter is about how one can work in the world but not be attached to it at all. And Krishna compares that. Brahmanyadaya karamani sangam tyakva manishina. That the lotus grows in the water and it appears never to touch the water. It never actually mixes with the water, even though it's sitting in the water. So we may be in this world, but when we're not attached to any kind of desire for inhabiting the world or for any benefit from the material world, our mind is fixed on devotional service, then we're also living in the world, but we never actually contact it. We can remain separate from it. at the same time. So now we'll take some questions or reflections. Anything that you heard so far that's stuck in your mind, or a question, something you want me to speak more about. In the meantime, I'm going to drink from my clean canteen. Yes. Madhusudana Prabhu.
So Ramananda Roy was a Sudra, and those activities of the 4 castes are, I heard that they're external. So whatever caste you may be in, there's something more that Krishna consciousness, that can be Krishna conscious. So can you talk about that? How?
Well, Lord Chaitanya said, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kinanoi Ye Krishna Tattvaveta She Guru Hoy. That doesn't matter if you're Kiba Vipra, whether you're a Vipra, meaning a very learned person in the Vedas, Kiba Nashi Shudra Kinanoi, or whether you're not a learned person, you're a Shudra. Doesn't matter. Ye Krishna Tattvaveta, if you know the science of Krishna, She Guru Hoy, then you're a guru. You can become a guru. So the external situation is not considered. This is also mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj in his prayers to Lord Narsingha in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th chapter, where he says, Viprad Vishad, how does that start? He says that if one is a Brahmana, and has all 12 of the Brahminical qualifications, please look up the verse. Vipradvishad gunayatara vindanaba parara vinva vimukat shvapacham varishtam manyetadarpitam mano vachanehi tarta pranam punati sakulam natuburi manaha. That's what he says. He says that if one is born in a Brahmana family, what page? 213? 280? 238? Get it one of these times. 203, page 238. You can look at this verse. It's a famous verse. Vipradvishad gunayatara vindanaba padara vinda vimukat shvabacham varishtam manyechad arpitayana mano bachinehi tarta pranam punati sakulam natuburi manaha. This is Prahlad Maharaj, one of the great authorities on devotional service, and he says, Vipradvishad gunayatar. If somebody is a Brahmana, but he's averse to Krishna consciousness, then that person can't purify even himself. He's considered degraded, low class. But if somebody is outside these 4 castes, for instance, as he mentions in this verse, if he's a dog eater, means he comes from a very low background. Vipradvishad gunayatara aravindanaba padara vinda vimukat shwapacham. Shwapacha means dog cooker. He cooks dogs. If that person is a devotee, then he can not only purify himself, but purify his whole family. So the criterion for understanding the advancement of a person is their level of Krishna consciousness. Yes, Kurunath Prabhu?
But if a person is really liberated in this life and, is like a lotus leaf that's not touched by water, and all the things that you were describing about, quoting these verses about how someone can be transcendently situated, then why wouldn't they follow all the rules and regulations of a higher, cleaner existence?
Well, they will. It just means if somebody comes from that background, once they take to devotional service, then they will come to that position. In the beginning, however, there may be some vestiges of their past association and habits, but gradually, as Bhagavatam says, Yastyasti bhaktir bhagavatiya kinchana sarver gunas tatra samasate sura Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manoritena siti tavato bihi. Famous chapter of verse from 5:18:12. It sounds like a symphony. Symphony of 5:18:12. It says that when one is an unalloyed devotee of Krishna, a kinchana, he takes to a kinchana bhakti, that that person develops all good qualities, so much so that the devas, who are in the pure mode of goodness, would like to come and live with him. However, if someone's against devotional service, not in devotional service, even if they appear to have good qualities externally, then they are considered to be, those qualities are considered to be unstable. They'll be lost at any minute.
But I'm thinking of the situation of people like if someone is a Shudra by occupation and has to serve some, wicked master, or like for example in Dwarka, in the Srimad Bhagavatam is describing how in the Dwarka there are many famous prostitutes who were pure devotees of Krishna, and these things always bewildered me because I'm thinking,
Well, Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that every endeavor is filled with some sort of, hey, no dancing during class, you got to go out there. Or that side. It's too much distracting. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that there's fault in every kind of occupation. Along with our birth, we have a certain kind of nature. And that nature impels us to some sort of work and obligates us to some sort of work. So that's not so easy to change. At the same time, that can be purified by connecting it to Krishna. As he says in the 18th chapter of the Gita, that sway karma nabirata, that according to your own nature and your own karma, your own activities, if you connect that to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through that occupation, then it'll become purified and you'll come to the perfectional stage. So there's no impediment. However, there are, degraded or sinful activities that one should give up because they're vikarmic, or they actually pollute one's consciousness, those kinds of work. Yeah.
Well, let's take the example of Ramananda Roy. He was in his situation as a politician and a Sudra. He didn't change that, but his inside of him, internally, he was at the highest levels of devotional service.
Actually, he did give it up.
Excuse me?
Actually, he did give it up. I mean, right when he meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu says, quit your job, just come with me. And so he goes, okay. And he went to Maharaj Prataparuja and said, I met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I want to quit my job. And because Maharaj Prataparuja was the perfect boss to have if you're a devotee, he said, sure, go ahead, please go spend the rest of your life with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Oh, okay, take the Kshatriyas then, Pandavas. They didn't give up their occupation. Prabhupada said they didn't chant japa. They did their occupation, and internally they were pure devotees. So in the Daivi Varnashram, wouldn't all of the castes in general stay the same, but internally?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, a Shudra would do his job, and maybe he would go home
and
worship the deity.
When Lord Krishna went into Mathura, you can see that the garland maker was there. Garland maker is not a Brahmin or anything special. He's just doing a simple occupation. Shudras are very valuable. We don't have any Shudras in America. They're not very good. But when they're good Shudras, they really produce something nice. But anyway, he was garland maker and he was a pure devotee. He offered the garlands to Krishna, and Krishna blessed him with eternal devotion. And so, all the devotees, according to whatever occupation they're in, they simply offer that to Krishna. Nyantaram karma loko yam manavartate. Shraddha Dasi, and then we'll bring it back to you.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, what I really liked was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to meet Ramananda Roy in Godavari, partly because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had asked him, insisted that he go and meet, and he says that and tells that to Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy doesn't take that glorification, and instead he deflects it towards Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, saying that it's because of love of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of that, he has been able to meet. So
that was very nice. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Don't I see you everywhere I go?
Yeah, you manifest everywhere. So, by the way, that is where I was born. Where
right here?
No.
Near Vishakhapatnam?
She mentioned about River Godavari in Andhra.
Can you hold that right in front of your mouth? Like that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, just now, Shraddha, they mentioned about the place where, next to Godavari River, where Ramananda Roy had the meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is that right? And that is where I was born, actually.
That's where you were born?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's not the point I was asking.
So you can take us there one day? You can take us there?
I can?
You can take all of us there?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question
Make a note that he's going to take us all there. That includes airfare and everything, so.
Yes. So the question I was having was, we were all talking about Krishna consciousness and devotional service and castes and all that stuff. But about what is Krishna consciousness, I had some comments and need validation from you. So Krishna says in chapter 10 of the taste of water, I am the taste, of the purifiers, I am the wind. And he says a lot of great things there. And I think if I am driving car, whatever may be the reason, whether I am going to temple or going to make money or going to a butcher shop or wine shop or whatever, as long as I am driving a car in this world, I know I am polluting the wind. Which means essentially I am spitting at Krishna, because he says, I am the wind. I am essentially spitting at Krishna. Now, am I Krishna conscious? I think whether you are a Brahmin or a Shudra or whatever it is, if a person is really Krishna conscious, and I think one should be aware that by driving a car, or by turning on the computer, or by using electricity from, or let's say water bottles, we are actually not Krishna conscious anymore. And that these things were not applicable 500 years ago.
Actually, they were. Technology is technology, whether it's 500 years ago or today. It's just slightly different, that's all. So 500 years ago, 5,000 years ago, the Vedas have Pancha Yagya, which is a system of performing different kinds of yagya every day to counteract all the accidental sinful activities we do. Even for the dutiful householder, when he or she grinds grains, that's a kind of technology, pretty advanced actually. I prefer that to the Cuisinart. You grind the grains and you're killing. There are living entities in those grains that are, they live there. But to eat, Bhagavatam says, Jivo jivasya jivanam, one living entity is food for another. But you do the least amount of harm that you possibly can. But there's no way to live in the world without living on another living being. Because that's the way the world is. It's the world of exploitation. And we're set up like that. So there are these different yagyas that one performs every day. When you light a fire, you're killing living entities. And just when you walk around, when you breathe, there's all kinds of ways that you're killing living entities. So in the Vedas, there is a system of yagya that the householders must perform every day to counteract these kind of sinful activities. However, even with different kinds of prayaschita or performing yagya, one still inevitably will commit sinful activities. One's implicated even as we're born into this world. Krishna says that we're already accompanied by the sinful activities the reactions that we committed in our previous life. Devarshi Bhutapnandrinam Pitranam Nakinkram Nayam Ranicha Rajan Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Kotomukundam Prayashrita Kartam. That we're born as debtors to so many living entities. And he gives the one yagya that absolves one from these debts and the reactions to these sins, which is Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam. Gato Mukundam Priyahrita Kartam, that is, if one completely surrenders to Krishna and gives up his very life for the purpose of serving Krishna, then he's absolved from those things. Of course, a devotee doesn't take it. A devotee walks in this world in a way which is least harmful to the other living beings and so forth. This was exhibited when Godavari, the hunter, who became a devotee after being a hunter by profession. Not only was he a hunter, he had learned from his father that to half-kill animals was a good idea, to watch them suffer in pain. But after meeting Narada Muni, he became purified, and he also understood that Narada explained to him, why do you half-kill animals? I mean, at least you should kill them all the way if you're a hunter. Don't make them suffer. And he said, you'll have to pay for all this karma that you're creating. And by the association of Narada and by hearing this knowledge, he became a devotee. He gave up the profession altogether. And then he sat down to perform devotional service, lived a simple life. When his guru came back, Narada Muni came back, and when Godavari came to meet him, he was jumping down the road and avoiding the ants. He didn't want to step on even an ant, whereas previously he had. So, I mean, we can see that there are different kinds of ways to move around in the world, and all of them have some kind of destructive force. Especially pernicious nowadays, so it's the way in which, technology has heated up the planet and so forth. But devotees like Srila Prabhupada moved around on boats and on airplanes and so forth, and if he hadn't, the message of Krishna consciousness wouldn't have spread around the world. He used whatever technology was necessary in order to give Krishna consciousness to others. So if one is living for that purpose and using different kinds of technologies which are necessary to keep up with the pace of life and get this message of Krishna consciousness out, then that is considered a transcendental use of those things. And at the same time, as he was doing that, Prabhupada had propagated the idea, one of his 7 purposes of ISKCON was that devotees should develop a more natural, simpler, more natural way of life closer to the earth that was self-sustainable and so forth. Admittedly, devotees have been slow to develop this. However, there is a move towards that, and there are places, some little pockets, even in California, where devotees are developing these kinds of sustainable communities that are based on living closer to the earth and things like that. Even in those communities, there's killing. I mean, if you're a gardener, you're a killer. Because it's either you keep the plants or you let the bugs have them. I mean, if you're a vegetarian, I mean, the bugs will come in and you got to ask them to leave. And sometimes, there's a little, just, from walking around the garden and cutting the weeds down and things like that, you're going to kill. But if one is offering everything to Krishna, then Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tong sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masujaha. Don't worry, because I'll deliver you from all sinful reaction.
Well, thank you. The
welcome.
point I'm making is that am I being Krishna conscious if I am not really worrying about the entire definition of Krishna?
Well, naturally,
I will conveniently say, okay, I will dedicate all the fruits to Krishna. But then even there I am hiding some facts that, okay, I killed so many bugs, but I will, when I'm submitting the results to Krishna, then I should be able to openly admit, okay, Krishna, boss, I did kill these many insects, I did do this much harm, I did this much harm to the wind.
I just did admit that, didn't I?
Yes, and
So,
if I admit and then
there it is.
and then Krishna will say, okay, yeah, then it makes sense. Otherwise, I am just doing something wrong and giving it to Krishna and then thinking that he will take care of everything.
Well, if you mean that if we take advantage of Krishna consciousness to live a lifestyle of our own enjoyment, and we cover it up by saying I'm just a devotee, so everything's okay, I think we should be careful about that. Devotee is particularly careful. Prabhupada used to warn that, even killing an insect or something like that is dangerous. We shouldn't do it in a cavalier way, or just think, well, I'm absolved from everything because I'm a devotee of Krishna, because I'm a member of an organization or something like that, I can do whatever I like. That's not a proper mentality. But a truly Krishna-conscious person is described in the Sri Upanishad. One who sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality, one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? One who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. And there's a way in which a Krishna-conscious person deals with other living beings and with the environment in a non-violent way.
For example, you just mentioned, well, I will give up after this question. So, you mentioned that one of the 7 goals of Srila Prabhupada was that people should be doing farming. And in ISV, most of the, maybe majority is software geeks here, technology geeks. And I have tried to give up on that. I was also a software guy, and I am not able to make my move into farming, although I want to. Why is it that I am not getting that environment everywhere in the world? I can go to New Vrindavan and perhaps live there doing farming. Even that is very tough. I am finding it extremely tough. Why this science of Krishna consciousness being advocated here, why is it not helping me to make my move into farming? It's obviously it's all because of my weakness, my greed,
Krishna
my
consciousness
lust.
Isn't just farming.
Well, one of them is to
I think the
live close
basic
to the
premise
earth.
is a little bit lopsided. We're not saying that Krishna consciousness means being a farmer. There are lots of farmers that aren't Krishna conscious. So just because you're a farmer doesn't mean you're Krishna conscious. Just because you live close to the land doesn't mean you're Krishna conscious either. There's plenty of people who are environmentalists and they're not Krishna conscious. And there are plenty of people who are software engineers that are very Krishna conscious. And there are people like Ramananda Roy who are governors, who are managing affairs of the state, ordering people to be executed and things like that were also Krishna conscious.
How can a software engineer be Krishna conscious?
By following what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says to Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmarad yudyacha mayarpita mano buddhir mami vaishatya samshaya. We might as well just ask the question, how could Arjuna be Krishna conscious? He was a warrior. He was using all kinds of technology. It was just a little more subtle. It was mantra. Instead of using this yantra, all these machines, he had all these weapons he was using. But he, as Krishna said to him, he said, fight. He said, fight, but at the same time, remember me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. So if someone is working for Krishna in any kind of circumstance, but at the same time remembering him, that's what Krishna said to do in the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, without doubt, you'll attain perfection in that. And he also says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, whatever occupation you have, if you simply connect that to me by giving the fruits of your work to me, then you'll become purified. And the acharyas say that whatever work one is prescribed in this life, if one thinks, I'm doing this work for Krishna, then gradually one will become purified. But of course, the most important thing is we should sacrifice the fruit of our work to Krishna. That's the beginning stage. So there's a progression in a way in which somebody from any occupation can gradually become purified. These are Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is everything. He's everywhere. He is the electricity that's coming through the computer. A person who's Krishna conscious sees Krishna within everything. He's never separated from him. He's the light of the sun and the moon. He's the electricity that's running through the Dell computer. A devotee's always a person who's Krishna conscious. There's no impediment. Doesn't mean that he has to live on a farm to see Krishna, but he can sit in a cubicle and be thinking of Krishna because he's aware of Krishna in all the different aspects of his creation. Hare Krishna. Let's get to a little more of the story. Text 37, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, said Ramananda Roy. Therefore, no one can understand your purpose. By your mercy, you are touching me, although this is not sanctioned by the Vedas. Purport, a sannyasi is strictly forbidden to see the Vishayis, the materialistic people, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his boundless and causeless mercy, could show favor to anyone, regardless of birth and position. You have come here specifically to deliver me. You are so merciful that you alone can deliver all fallen souls. Purport, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings in his Prarthana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Bina Ki Dayalu Jagat Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Bearo. My dear Lord, please be merciful to me. Who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? You appear as an incarnation just to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. But I assure you that you will find you'll not find a soul more fallen than me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's specific mission is to deliver fallen souls. Of course, in this age of Kali, there is hardly anyone who is not fallen according to the calculations of Vedic behavior. In his instructions to Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the so-called followers of Vedic religion in this way. Veda nishta madhye ardheka Veda mukhe mane. Veda nishita papa kari dharma nahi gane. So-called followers of Vedic principles simply accept the Vedas formally, but they act against Vedic principles. This is symptomatic of this age of Kali. People claim to follow a certain type of religion, saying formally, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Christian. I am this or I am that. But actually no one follows the principles enunciated in religious scriptures. This is the disease of this age. Therefore, the merciful Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has simply advised us to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Harinam, Harinam, Harinam Eva Kevalam. The Lord can deliver anyone and everyone, even though one may have fallen from the injunctions of the revealed scriptures. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy. Consequently, he is known as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of all fallen souls. Text 39. It is the general practice of all saintly people to deliver the fallen. Therefore, they go to people's houses, although they have no personal business there. Purport. A sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door. He does not beg simply because he is hungry. His real purpose is to enlighten the occupant of every house by preaching Krishna consciousness. A sannyasi does not abandon his superior position and become a beggar just for the sake of begging. Similarly, a person in householder life may not be very important, but he may also voluntarily take to the mendicant way of life. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were ministers, but they voluntarily accepted the mendicant's life in order to humbly preach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message. It is said about them, Tyaktva Turnamashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadat Tuchavat. Bhutvadina Ganeshako Korunaya Kaupina Kantashrito. Although the Goswamis were very aristocratic, on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu they became mendicants just to deliver the fallen souls. One should also consider that those who engage in the missionary activities of the Krishna consciousness movement are under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not actually beggars. Their real business is to deliver fallen souls. Therefore, they may go from door to door just to introduce a book about Krishna consciousness so that people can become enlightened by reading. Formerly, brahmacharis and sannyasis used to beg from door to door. At the present moment, especially in the Western countries, a person may be handed over to the police if he begs from door to door. In Western countries, begging is considered criminal. Members of the Krishna consciousness movement have no business begging. Instead, they work very hard to introduce some literatures about Krishna consciousness so that people can read them and be liberated and benefited. But if one gives some contribution to a Krishna conscious man, he never refuses it. Text 40. My dear Lord, sometimes great saintly persons go to the homes of householders, although these householders are generally low-minded. When a saintly person visits their homes, one can understand that it is for no other purpose than to benefit the householders. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.4. Can you look that up, please? Amara Shange Brahmanande Saha Shreka Jano Tomar Darshane Sabharutravi Bhutamana. Along with me there are about 1,000 men, including the Brahmanas, and all of them appear to have their hearts melted simply by seeing you. So Ramananda Roy is saying this, that I have 1,000 men with me, including Brahmanas, and just by seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their hearts are melted. I hear everyone chanting the holy name of Krishna. Everyone's body is thrilled with ecstasy, and there are tears in everyone's eyes. My dear sir, according to your behavior and bodily features, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is impossible for ordinary living beings to possess such transcendental qualities. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bodily features were uncommon. Indeed, his body was extraordinary in its measurements. The measurement of his chest and the measurements of his forearms were the same. This is called Nyagroda Parimandala. As far as his nature is concerned, he was kind to everyone. No one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be kind to everyone. Therefore, the Lord's name is Krishna, all attractive. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 14.4, Krishna is the kind father of everyone. So name some ways that Krishna was kind to others. Akuranath Prabhu. Thank you. Hold that. Quick. I know, I was saying quick with the microphone.
He straightened out Kubja, and then later he satisfied her desire that he came and visited her in a solitary place.
Another one?
He killed the demon who came to Putana. She wanted to kill him by putting poison on her breast and saying, having him nurse from her. And he killed her, but he accepted her as his mother just because he took that little tiny bit that she was acting like a mother and forgot all the rest and gave her the liberation of motherhood towards him.
Nice. Shraddha?
The Govardhan Hill for 7 days.
Protected all the cows and the residents of Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when he met with Indra, who tried to kill everyone in Vrindavan, he met him in a lonely place, and he said, "I'm sorry if I offended you." He said to Indra. Yes, Himanshu.
He instructed the deluded Arjuna on the battlefields. Arjuna was confused. He first followed his seemingly instruction to took him to the center of the battlefield and then narrated the whole Bhagavad Gita.
Nice. Yeah.
He was kind upon Prabhupada. Like he helped him when he had 3 heart attacks and helped him establish ISKCON.
Nice.
He appeared in the world.
He appeared in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind. Okay, we have one that texted in.
I have two texts actually, one related to this and one general text.
Okay.
So this is Malini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Malini.
And she says Krishna was merciful to Mother Yashoda when she was trying to tie him. And first he did not allow her, and then later he allowed her to tie him in.
Nice.
And the other actually came at the very moment you had announced that the call number. It was our Prabhas Prabhu from Sacramento.
Prabhas, he's back.
Yes, he's back.
Let's hear.
And he just wants to say thank you to you for the wonderful preaching, and he hopes to meet you next weekend. And I was having a conversation with him earlier this week, and he said that he plans to open a Goshala in Sacramento.
Goshala is opening up all over California. Okay? The gain's a little high on this. It's humming somehow.
He forcibly took the rice that Sudama brought for him and ate it and enjoyed it very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Continuing. How then can it be unkind to any living entity? One may be a man, an animal, or even a tree, but the Lord is kind to everyone. That is God's qualification. He also says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samaham sarvabhuteshu, I'm equally kind to everyone. And he advises, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja. Give up all other engagements and simply surrender unto me. This instruction is meant not only for Arjuna, but for all living entities. Whoever takes advantage of this offer is immediately immune to all sinful activity and returns home back to Godhead. While present on this planet, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the same offer. Prabhu kahe, tumi maha bhagavatotama, tomar darshane shabhar drava hoila mano. The Lord replied to Ramananda Roy, Sir, you are the best of the topmost devotees, therefore simply the sight of you has melted everyone's heart. Purport, unless one is a first-class devotee, he cannot be a preacher. A preacher is generally a topmost devotee, but in order to meet the general populace, he has to come to distinguish between devotees and non-devotees. Otherwise, an advanced devotee makes no such distinctions. Indeed, he always sees that everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. When one engages in preaching work, he must distinguish between people and understand that some people are not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. The preacher then has to take compassion upon such innocent people who do not know how to worship the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.245, the symptoms of a devotee, of a topmost devotee, are described as follows. Sarva bhuteshu ya pashyed bhagavad bhavamatan atmanaha bhutani bhagavat yatmani esha bhagavatotamaha. The advanced devotee sees that all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is in Krishna, and Krishna is also within everyone. Such a vision is possible only for a person who is very advanced in devotional service. Although I am a Mayavadi sannyasi, Lord Chaitanya said, a non-devotee, I am floating in the ocean of love of Krishna simply by touching you, and what to speak of others. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya knew this would happen, and thus to rectify my heart, which is very hard, he asked me to meet you. In this way, each of them praised the qualities of the other, and both of them were pleased to see each other. At this time, a Brahmana Vaishnava following the Vedic principles came and offered obeisances. He fell flat before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him for lunch. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the invitation, knowing the Brahmana to be a devotee, and slightly smiling, he spoke as follows to Ramananda Roy. Purport, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the invitation of the Vaishnava Brahmana. Even though one is a Brahmana, strictly following all the rules and regulations of Brahminical culture, if he is not a devotee, a follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one should not accept his invitation. At the present moment, people have become so degraded that they do not even follow the Vedic principles, to say nothing of Vaishnava principles. They eat anything and everything, whatever they like, and therefore the members of the Krishna conscious movement should be very cautious about accepting invitations. 50. I wish to hear from you about Lord Krishna. Indeed, my mind is inclined to desire this. Therefore, I wish to see you again. Ramananda Roy replied, My Lord, although you have come to correct me, a fallen soul, my mind is not yet purified. Simply seeing you Please stay for 5 or 7 days and kindly cleanse my polluted mind. After that much time, my mind will certainly be pure. Although neither could tolerate separation from the other, Ramananda Roy nevertheless offered his obeisances to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and departed. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the house of the Brahmana who had invited him and took his lunch there. When the evening of that day arrived, both Ramananda Roy and the Lord were eager to meet each other again. After finishing his evening bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Ramananda Roy to come. Then Ramananda Roy, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. Purport: a Vaishnav who is supposed to be advanced in spiritual understanding, be he a householder or a sannyasi, must bathe 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening. When one is engaged in the service of the deity, he must especially follow the principles of the Padma Purana and take regular baths. He should also, after bathing, decorate his body with 12 tilaks. 56. Namaskar Koila Roy Prabhu Koila Alingane Duijani Krishna Kata Koi Rahastane. Ramananda Roy approached Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered his respectful obeisances. And the Lord embraced him. Then they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. Karnath Prabhu.
When Lord Chaitanya first met Ramananda Roy and there were some Brahmins present, and when they embraced and felt ecstasy, the Brahmins started wondering, like, what's going on? Why is this sannyasi embracing a Shudra? Why is this governor becoming so emotional? And Lord Chaitanya, out of consideration for these outsiders, checked his ecstasy and waited to meet with Ramananda Roy privately. Why did he care about what these brahmanas or other people would think? Why didn't he just immediately indulge in ecstatic discussions with Ramananda Roy?
Well, regarding exhibiting one's devotional feelings publicly, there are several injunctions against that for reasons that are progressive in devotional service. That when you expose your realizations here and there and everywhere, I mean, there may be several reactions people will have. Some people may misunderstand them and berate you for them. Others may even censure you for bringing them out. I mean, it's the stories of great advanced people, spiritual people who have openly showed their advancement have been sometimes censured or even killed. Only those who are insiders can actually understand. To be someone's servant means to understand their desires. Otherwise, how are you going to serve them? And if somebody's an insider and can appreciate them, then there's a way in which somebody can safely reveal their mind and their emotions and so forth. In the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami has written a verse that says that when one has some deep realization, one should not reveal it even to his own mind. In a way that it may be dissipated because of envy or just bringing it out. And also the false ego is always waiting to usurp whatever comes out from the pure consciousness and then use it for a nefarious purpose. So one has to be careful about that. And there's another, yes, go ahead.
Would it also be protecting the other person, because they'll very often commit offenses by misunderstanding, and then that will be...
Yeah, that's a good point too. And Krishna mentions this in the Bhagavad Gita, that you shouldn't disrupt the minds of the ignorant, but you should go on with your duty, and this would include acting according to the social norm, and then engage people in the spirit of devotion, but not simply be disruptive. Although there were some cases in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did go on with the Sankirtan movement and disrupted the the social custom. For instance, when he started his Sankirtan, then the Hindus complained because they said that, we never heard of this before. And also there was some vested interest. Usually in any kind of religious system, the priests and others who are in control have a vested interest because they start to live off it. And there's a way that they don't want anything to change. And when a reformer comes along and brings out some new system, they get really nervous. That, wait a minute, how are we going to eat? If this becomes successful, and everyone can chant Hare Krishna, they're not going to come to us to pay us to do the ritual. Reformers often come along and say, it's free, just take it, chant Hare Krishna. And then, anyway, it's a nice point about disrupting the minds of the people in the society. Did you have something more to add, Kurnath? A realization?
I was just interested in that when you said that, Sanatana Goswami, that you shouldn't reveal your realization even to your own mind. That kind of blew my mind.
Madhavananda Prabhu wrote a nice article called Hide Your Guru, in which he cites from the Shastra that one should not go here, there, and everywhere advertising, I'm disciple of such, and and you develop this kind of feeling of entitlement. But let it, just as Chanakya Pandit says, that a person shouldn't reveal their financial position, but it should come out. Everyone can understand what their financial position is just by watching how they live. So a devotee shouldn't advertise that I'm this, I'm that. Just be that, and people can understand if you're advanced or not by watching how you move and act in the world. Vishaka? She needs the microphone.
Just today I was listening to this lecture called Tree of Life by Satyananda Swami, and he quoted that it is said in Hari Bhakti Vilas that there are 5 things that a devotee should keep hidden. And one thing was, I don't remember all the 5, I remember 3 actually. He says, one's bhajan realizations, one's wealth that you were talking about, one's spiritual master, and the other 2 I don't remember.
Japamala.
Japamala, yeah.
And mantra, I think, right? You get a mantra that you're initiated in. You don't.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Trishab.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we hear about the sages who always meditated in caves and in very secret, very isolated kind of place so that they're not disturbed. So, is it a recommended way to chant and meditate to be completely in an isolated place and completely be uninterrupted, or to chant?
Bring me the 7th canto, 9th chapter. Prayena deva munaya savimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena pararta nishta. Prahlad Maharaj doesn't seem to think that that's the best process. I can quote him to answer your question. And Prabhupada follows his mood. It's 241. Page 241? 241 in the Shloka book. Prayena deva munayo svavimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena pararta nishta naitan vihaya kripanam vimuksha eko nanyam tvarasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. Prahlad Maharaj, one of the Mahajans, the great souls that we follow. My dear Lord Narsinghadev, I see there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Mona Vrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone. leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals, I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot become happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. Sorry, there's a better one. Maunavrata, that's 46. Maunavrata shuta tapo dhyayana swadharma vyaktya rahojapa samadaya apavargya praya praram purushate tvajitendriyanam varta pavantyun yutanavatra tudambikanam. So Prahlad says, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path of liberation: to remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashram, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently, and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses. Because such persons are falsely proud, their procedures may not be successful. Purport is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.15, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agam dunvanti kartsnena niharam eva bhaskara. Only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. The real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. Such liberation may be achieved by many methods: tapasya, brahmacharyena, shamena cha, damena cha. But all of them more or less depend on tapasya, austerity, which begins with celibacy. Shukadeva Goswami says that those who are Vasudeva Parayana, who have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva Krishna, automatically achieve the results of mauna, silence, vrata, vows, and other such methods, simply by discharging devotional service. In other words, these methods are not so powerful. If one takes to devotional service, all of them are easily performed. Mauna, for example, does not mean that one should just stop speaking. The tongue is meant for speaking, although sometimes to make a big show, a person remains silent. There are many who observe silence some days in a week. Vaishnavas, however, do not observe such silence. Silence means not speaking foolishly. Speakers at assemblies, conferences, and meetings generally speak foolishly like toads. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as vachovegam. One who wants to say something can show himself to be a big orator, but rather than go on speaking nonsense, better to remain silent. This method of silence, therefore, is recommended for persons very attached to speaking nonsense. One who is not a devotee must speak nonsensically because he does not have the power to speak about the glories of Krishna. Thus, whatever he says is influenced by the illusory energy and is compared to the croaking of a frog. One who speaks about the glories of the Lord, however, has no need to be silent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends kirtaniya sadahari. One should go on chanting the glories of the Lord 24 hours a day. There is no question of becoming mauna or silent. The 10 processes for liberation or improvement on the path of liberation are not meant for the devotees. Kevalaya bhaktya. If one simply engages in devotional service to the Lord, all 10 methods of liberation are automatically observed. Prahlad Maharaj's proposal is that such processes may be recommended for achitendriya, those who cannot conquer their senses. Devotees, however, have already conquered their senses. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat pratvena nirmalam. A devotee is already free from the material contamination. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, therefore, has said, Dushtamana tumi kishir Vaishnav. Prishtera tare nirjanera ghare tava harinam kebala kaitava. There are many who like to chant Hare Krishna in a silent, solitary place. But if one is not interested in preaching, talking constantly to the non-devotees, the influence of the modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Therefore, unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, who had no other business than chanting the holy name always, 24 hours a day. Prahlad Maharaj does not condemn such a process. He accepts it, but without active service to the Lord, simply by such methods, one generally cannot attain liberation. One cannot attain liberation simply by false pride. Gurnath Prabhu?
One time I was on Christmas marathon down in Santa Cruz distributing books on one Saturday, one weekend, and there was like a demonstration. These people were out there asking people if they could cut their credit cards in half. And they were saying we should worship Christmas by being anti-materialistic and stop all the commerce and materialism. And so we talked a little, and I said, oh, that's good. You're right. You should be not materialistic. So then they said, but you're also doing commerce. You're selling these books. And I told them, oh, these books are not material. They, even though they appear to be like objects that you can buy and that words that you can read, all the words are completely transcendental. And they understood, they accepted that. The demonstrators could see that that was true. They said, yes, you're right. Go on, carry on.
Nice. Very nice. Shukeshwari?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
What Mataji was mentioning about the spiritual master, what is the real understanding behind it, Prabhuji, that one should not reveal the spiritual master? What is that?
It's that there may be a sense of pride, a sense of false pride that I'm part of this group and I'm putting myself forward and this is, the Jagat Guru and nobody else, that kind of idea. And there's one who's advanced has a intimate relationship with the spiritual master and is in getting transcendental realization from that, and shouldn't abuse that by simply advertising here and there just for some kind of recognition that I have some status. You want to say more?
Somebody who's not advanced can be a disciple of a spiritual master who's very prominent, and just out of pride of the connection with that spiritual master, and so that's a pitfall. Then they fall down because they have pride, which does not belong to them. So why would you want to? So you don't need to advertise. You can just be just a servant of the servant of the servant. Is the proper mentality to act in that rather than advertising your connection with a powerful spiritual master.
Sure, that's a nice point. And it's also not that when we say hide your spiritual master and these other things, it doesn't mean that you become fanatical about that either. If somebody asks you, it's like, sorry, can't tell you. But it just means to have discretion about the matter and not use it, let your false ego use it to aggrandize yourself or give yourself some position. Yes, Karuna.
But as missionaries, we're going out and we're telling people, read these books. Srila Prabhupada is a great spiritual master. He can explain Krishna to you, and we're actually trying to canvass people to read Prabhupada's books. And so, how does that correspond to the idea that our relationship with Prabhupada is so confidential that we should?
It's a culture of humility. When one is doing a service for the master, one may assert oneself in many ways. And when Prabhupada was asked, "Are you a spiritual master?" he said, "No, I'm a servant. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant." There's a way in which, when it's for oneself, asserting oneself and one's own position, then one's very reticent. But when one's putting forth Krishna or the teachings of the spiritual master and so forth, one does bring it out and present it. But you can see that Prabhupada was very forceful in presenting, but if someone would say, "But you're so great," or, he would say, "No, it's not me, it's my spiritual master." Any process of spiritual advancement should be ego-effacing. We should be coming away from the center and putting Krishna in the center and those who represent Krishna in the center and not ourselves.
I had another question, Prabhu. So, can I ask a question from Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay. It's actually 4.6, where Krishna says that he is unborn and his body never deteriorates. So, we were discussing this in the Japa call today morning. And there was one Mataji who asked this question, and it was really intriguing. Somebody who believes in, there is a fake Kalki Dharma, in South India. He actually would sit and he says he's the Kalki, and there are many people who actually seriously follow him. So one of the devotees of that person said that how he is Kalki, and so this Mataji was trying to explain to her that no, Krishna when he comes in his transcendental body, and so he doesn't get affected by anything that happens in this world. So when the lady said, oh, even this Kalki doesn't get affected. So in that way, how do we explain somebody? I know that person is really envious, and that's why probably she doesn't understand Krishna. But when we're trying to explain to somebody, how do we say Krishna really had an eternal... because this is more with... when we keep reading, we chant, we understand it just with Krishna's mercy. But when a person outsider asks this question... How could we explain to them that Krishna really comes in a transcendental body and is not affected by modes of material nature and also doesn't go through, the four miseries?
Well, okay. He wants to add a humorous effect. Go ahead. Quick, though, we have 5 minutes left.
We can perform the Brigu test. Brigu went and kicked on the chest of Lord Vishnu, and let's see the reaction.
Well, there's a way in which the various incarnations, the Yuga avatars, Leela avatars, they're all described in Shastra. In fact, there's a whole book which details the various incarnations and expansions of God called Lagu Bhagavatamrita, which is also referred to in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And you'll notice in the Bhagavatam there's scheduled incarnations. They come on schedule. It's too early for Kalki. He doesn't come yet. So from that point of view, an incarnation. And when Sarvabhaumacharya questioned Gopinathacharya about how is this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gave Shastra. He explained from the Mahabharata, Suvarna Varna Hemango Varnangashan Shanangadi Sanyasa Krishnama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayanaha, that the incarnation who he also quoted will be a Channa, a covered incarnation, will come in the age of Kali as a sannyasi, he'll be golden and so forth. And it comes at a scheduled time. And Prabhupada also asked that those who are claiming to be incarnations of God should be able to show the universal form. There are other kinds of tests besides these kinds of things that, we can ask people. But ultimately... Bhaktimam Abhijanati, Krishna is revealed by devotional service. And in previous ages, even when Krishna was present, there were people that didn't understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead or accept that he was. And there were imitators also, like Pondraka, who assumed the symbols of Vishnu and then said, I'm Vishnu. And then Krishna met him and, chopped his head off and so forth. But the test of the Shastra, we follow the scheduled incarnations. But if someone doesn't follow any of those things, then, Srivas Pandit Prabhu's test might come in. I just want to read one more verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita because we're just starting the dialogue. And Ramananda Roy approached Lord Chaitanya and offered his respectful obeisances, and the Lord embraced him. Then they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. Prabhu kahe pada shloka sadyera nirnay. Rai kahe Swadharmacharane Vishnu Bhakti Hoy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Roy, recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. Ramananda Roy replied, if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. So thus begins the dialogue between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And it's a very important section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there is a book that came out recently from Narsingha Maharaj, one of Prabhupada's disciples. He found in a trunk in Radha Damodar a manuscript that Prabhupada had written about the Ramananda Samvad. Do you have that? Yeah, I have that too. It's a rare book, and it's really beautiful. Prabhupada wrote it many, many years ago, and it just sat in a trunk. Can you imagine that? And Narsingha Maharaj discovered it, brought it out, made it into a published book. There were a few little parts missing, so he supplemented a few places. And it's a whole discussion of this progression of instructions that come out from Ramananda Roy giving the evidence for what is the ultimate goal of life. And just to summarize up to a certain point, Ramananda Roy first says that one should take to Varnashram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is external, so he asks for another solution. And then Ramananda Roy gives a solution that one should give up the Varnashram. Actually, we don't have time to get this precisely. In any case, he gives various instructions or ideas that over and over again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects as external, including giving up the Varnashram, taking sannyas, taking to bhakti mixed with gyan, bhakti mixed with karma, and so forth. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu keeps saying external, external, external. And then the first verse that he actually accepts is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Lord Brahma, Jnane prayasa mudapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiyavartam stanestita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir. Ye prayaso jitta jito pyasitais trilokyam. And that is that one should give up the process of speculation to understand God and should simply engage in service with body, mind, and words, and stay in your position, stanestita Shrutigatam Tanavan Manobir, and hear about Krishna submissively. From that, one can come to the position of perfection, and that is that even though Krishna is ajita, one conquers Krishna and by his love. The Krishna actually becomes subservient to the devotee out of sense of love. And so he accepts that, but he says, if you know more, speak more. And then Ramananda Roy goes on more and more into the most esoteric understandings of and details of pure devotional service, and culminating in him sensing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is something more than just a sannyasi. And then finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals that he's actually Radha and Krishna combined. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahayanya. At first, when he's looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and saying, you appear to be Krishna himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu obfuscates and says, oh, you're a pure devotee, you see Krishna everywhere, what do you expect? But then finally he shows actually his form as Radha and Krishna. So it's a very important section in pastime revealing that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna. And the instructions are very important also, and this section can be studied over and over again in great detail to understand the progressive path of pure devotional service. Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Any more texts? We thank all our listeners who joined from the internet, and thank you, everyone, for making the trip all the way out here to ISV in Mountain View, in our new home. All glories to Srila Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ji jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo, Vansha Kalpatarubhascha Kripasinabhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And now we'll put all the books away as efficiently but as carefully as possible, and we'll stand up for an Artik ceremony. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I just wanted to share one last thing. This past weekend we were at Austin for the Sadhu Sangha retreat, And some of the devotees I met, they asked, where are you from? I said, I'm from San Jose. And they were like, suddenly their face brightened up. I said, ISV, and like whoever I spoke to seemed to be connected, through the internet, listening to our classes, and they're very appreciative of our efforts to be broadcasting.
Just want to say that there are over 50 people watching online today.
Thanks to Hansapriya. Okay. Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatarine. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandera Roti Koshobha. Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Jagajanamana Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurangera Rotik Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurangera Rotik Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Jagajanamana Lobha Jagajanamana Lobha. Haribol, 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 inside Godavari. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Dakineni Tai Chan Bamega Dadhara Nikate Advaita Shrini Vaschatradara Vose Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane Arati kore na Brahma Adi Deva Gane Nada Hari Hari Kori Chamaradhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Gosharigaya Shankar Baje Gandha Baje Baje Karatala Hey Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Sai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Bahu Koti Chandra Jinni Vadana Ujvala Galadeshe Vanamala Kori Jalamala Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Gada Bhakati Vinoda Deke Gaurara Sampada Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jai Jaya, Gopala Jai Jaya. Govinda Jai Jaya, Gopala Jai Jaya. Hey, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jai Jaya, Gopala Jai Jaya. Govinda Jai Jaya, Gopala Jai Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jaya. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Stotaras Shishimad Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Stotaras Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Ramananda Roy Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande Haribo. Kameshvari Matasi's uncle, Tukaram Gade, passed away this morning at age 57. He was instrumental in distributing 500 books during the Kameshvari Mataji's sister's wedding. She is requesting all the devotees to pray for the departed soul. Perhaps Narsingha Vartik. Most definitely Narsingha Vartik. So this is Narsingha Vartik dedicated to Tukaram Prabhu, a great book distributor, and related to Kameshvari, so an even greater soul, because he's the uncle of Kameshvari. So he passed away suddenly, and we're going to pray to Lord Narsinghadev that he please protect him and deliver him safely to his next service, wherever that may be. Namaste Narasimhaya. Somebody give Michael a songbook, please, and anybody else who needs the words. Namaste Narasimhaya. 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 Prahalada Dadayine Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingho Yato Yato Yami Tato Nishingha Bahir Nishingo Ridaye Nishingo Narsingha Maring Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadbhuta Shingam Dalitairanya Kashi Bhutanubhingam Keshavadrita Nadahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakamadbhuta Shringa Dalita Iranyakashi Bhutanubhingam Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Nishingadev, 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 Jaya Nishingadev. Shri Nishingadev ki jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Go Premanande Haribo. Welcome everybody to the Wednesday night hearing and chanting session. This is ISKCON of Silicon Valley, newly opened, getting ready for the grand opening coming up on the 6th and 7th of July. And this is meant to be an oasis, a place where one can come and experience a spiritual atmosphere, because we're subtle living beings. And we exist much by the completely by the mercy of Krishna, and we're affected by our environment. And just by being in a spiritual environment, hearing the chanting of the names of God, smelling the incense that is offered to God, and eating food that's offered to God, one can purify one's cells in one's body and one's brain, and come in contact with Krishna directly through this simple process of bhakti yoga. One doesn't have to change one's job or style or anything, but one should add this process of bhakti to one's life. And that's what this temple is meant for, a place where devotees can come and practice. It's open from 4:30 in the morning all the way till the evening time. And there are classes here regularly, both inside and outside the temple. And we have literature that gives the full explication of the process of bhakti, and one could take advantage of that and come to feel for oneself the powerful effect of the practice of bhakti yoga. So thank you everyone for coming here on a Wednesday night, and we'll be continuing this kind of class on Saturday morning. That goes on starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then we have all the way until about 10 o'clock in the morning, classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting of bhajans and so forth. Always followed by prasadam. And then on Sunday afternoon, there's a program that starts here at 4 in the afternoon. So everyone's welcome. And plus, you can, if you can't make it in, you can also watch the broadcast. All of this is live. That's why all these cameras are around here. We're using this as a studio to broadcast outward to the world. And on mayapur.tv, you can check in, and you'll see during the times that we're broadcasting from here a little square where you can click on, and then you can open up and you can feel like you're right here. And we meet people all over the world who are watching these programs on a regular basis. So if you can't for some reason make it in, then make sure to watch on mayapur.tv. And we'd like to welcome all the guests who are here for the first time. We have microphones, so we'd like to welcome Madhusudan Prabhu and his wife. First of all, they're some of the most senior devotees in our ISKCON movement who've, I think, been married longer than anyone else in ISKCON. Is that true? Maybe. How many years? 44 years married in Krishna consciousness. Married by Srila Prabhupada, right? Okay. Prabhupada sanctioned, married by Srila Prabhupada. He sanctioned the marriage, we'll take it. Would you mind introducing yourself? The microphone, yeah.
Hare Krishna, my name is Madhusudan Das.
I joined the Hare Krishna movement in...
Oh, you want more, a little biography.
Something.
I joined the Hare Krishna movement in January of 1967, and Prabhupada wasn't present then, but just by the preaching of these fledgling new devotees, they were able to communicate Krishna consciousness so long ago. And then a few months later, Srila Prabhupada came.
Where?
Back from San Francisco to New York. So I
you
was
were in New York?
New York, yeah, New York, 26 Second Avenue.
Haribo!
And then Srila Prabhupada came back in April and performed some initiations, April of 67, when he accepted me as a disciple. And my wife joined in later that year. In December, she got initiated in December of 1967. And there's my wife, Kanchan Bala.
Haribo!
Then 2 years later, she was a brahmacharini, I was a brahmachari then for 2 years. And then we got married in 1969. August of 1969.
In New York?
In New York City, yeah.
Which temple was that?
That was 61 Second Avenue. The
61 Second Avenue.
Second, yeah. Yeah. Most of my devotional life was working for the press, ISKCON Press, and then became BBT. So I was involved in book production.
And some advice for all of us here at ISV?
Just continue hearing from Vaisesika Prabhu.
Haribo!
You did a lot on the Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon.
Want to say something about that?
Yes, we were in Los Angeles, and this was many years after being a grihasta. And I was accustomed to a regulated life of sense gratification, just regulated life and having a pleasant, easy life in Krishna consciousness. And then we were told that then Prabhupada wanted to have I was working on BBT all the time, but I was like my 9-to-5 job. And it was very enjoyable, but then Prabhupada wanted to have the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We were going too slow, and he pushed us to. He was way ahead on the dictation, and we were not producing the books fast enough. So I think we were Ramaswara said that we were producing the books one book every 2 months or something like that, which was fantastic. And then all of a sudden Prabhupada said he wants to have 2 volumes printed each month. Instead of one every 2 months, he wanted 2 volumes printed, finished and printed in 1 month. So when I heard that, I thought, oh, I don't want to do this. It just meant so much sacrifice, tapasya. I wanted a pleasant life, and I was not anxious to do it. But at the time, I was more surrendered and just had to do it. So we were working. Every few days, we worked through the night. This is what happened. And then we'd stay up the whole night. It was quite strenuous. And then we'd get a crash for a day, and then have to start all over again, working constantly. It's quite difficult.
And you did it.
We did it.
And then Prabhupada wrote a letter and said everyone was involved in that marathon was go back to Godhead, right?
I guess he said that, yeah.
Yes. Can we hear from Kanchan Bala also?
Hare Krishna. What should I say? Well, I was living at home when I got initiated. I sent my beads to Srila Prabhupada, and there was a ceremony in San Francisco. There was a big fire sacrifice, and when Srila Prabhupada had seen a group of our names, they weren't very usual names, Western names, like Blanche and Carol and Iris and Esther, and Srila Prabhupada said, what are these boys or girls' names? So anyway, I got initiated, and I was just so grateful and happy because I was living at home and I could only go to the temple on the weekends. And then I got a lot of difficulty at home. My mother did not want me to be a devotee, and I wrote Srila Prabhupada a 6-page letter, and he wrote back such an encouraging letter to me that it just dissipated any difficulties I had.
Haribol. Thank you very much for coming and visiting us. Huh? Kanchan Bala is an artist.
He wrote me a letter saying that I should be painting paintings, and and he was really encouraging me to do that, so I always felt I had a service to do. So I at that time I painted for other temples. There was no book artist yet, but the temples had to have paintings on the walls, so there was a group of artists that would paint oil paintings for different temples throughout the movement. So that was really nice.
Okay, and some advice besides what your husband said.
What's that?
Some advice for all the devotees at ISV besides what your husband said.
Advice? Just taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples and grand disciples. That's what pushes on this movement, just following his teachings, meditating on him, and whatever inspires us, like, for instance, just hearing about Srila Prabhupada's, about him, memories from his disciples, because even though Srila Prabhupada's not on this planet, he's always with us if we're just thinking of him, and he's in our hearts.
Thank you very much. And now we'd like to welcome all the new guests who are here. Anybody here for the first time?
Yeah, I'm Michael. First time. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And how did you hear about it?
Well, I guess kind of a long story. Michael Cremo, this lecturer.
Yeah.
And so I've been going to his lectures, and then I just found out he was a Hare Krishna, a devotee, and He gave me a book a month ago. I was up in San Francisco, and so I read it, and it's kind of neat. So I'm here. Pardon me?
Chant and Be Happy?
Yeah, Yeah, it was really neat, yeah.
And where did you get that book? How did you get Chant?
He gave it to me.
Michael Cremo?
Well, I was buying some other books at his booth at the New Living Expo.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know he was a Hare Krishna, a devotee, or is that what yeah.
Are you an archaeologist or a geologist?
No, I'm interested.
That's nice.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We have him here sometimes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he comes. Last time he came here, he spoke at Stanford. So we're planning on having him back. So
good.
We'll make sure that you're on the mailing list.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Welcome to Michael. Who else? First time, yes.
Hello, my name is Ravi.
Ravi.
Ramanujan.
Welcome, Ravi.
I came with my wife. It's her birthday today.
It's your birthday?
No, my wife's birthday.
Your wife's birthday. Hare Krishna. And where are you from?
We are from India.
Right here in Mountain View?
No, we live in Santa Clara.
But it's your first time coming over?
Yeah, this is my first time, but she has been here.
And what is your wife's good name?
Chitra. Chitra.
Chitra.
Yeah.
We'd like to chant one Maha Mantra to wish a happy birthday to Chitra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May Lord Krishna bless your life in uncommon ways. Thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna. Anyone else here for the first time? We'd like to thank our cook tonight, Nilisha, who is working under the apprenticeship of Bhaktavatsal Prabhu in the brand new kitchen. Thank you to Nilisha. Hare Krishna. Ramananda Saka Prabhu, you look poised, ready to give some statement. Yes.
Okay. After the prasadam, we need some few volunteers to serve prasadam first of all, and then after the prasadam is served, we need again few more volunteers to clean the temple. If anyone is interested, please.
So did you hear that, everyone? Ramananda Saka. Hold on one second. Hold it. You need some servers?
Yeah, we need a few devotees to serve the prasadam.
How many?
4.
Okay, we need 4 devotees who would like the honor of serving prasadam. Normally don't light everyone, but tonight apparently Ramananda Saka Prabhu is allowing whoever wants to serve. So Sukeshwar is raising her hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Michael, first time here, he's going to help serve prasadam. Okay, thank you very much. And how many would you like to stay behind to help clean a little bit?
6.
And we'd like 6 devotees. We'll allow 6 to stay and clean a little bit afterwards under the direction of Ramananda Saka. So we'll take 6 only. Okay, Gita Priya, so we've got 5.5 to go. Okay, 2. 4 more would like to help clean. Okay, 3. I volunteer. 2, 3. Sudeep, so that's 4. Hare Krishna. 5. 1 more. Anybody else? Thank you very much, Srivas. Okay, so you got 4 and 6 for serving prasadam. Any other announcements? Sharira Dvijaja Jodendriya Tahika Jibe Bile Vishaya Shogare Dharma Jay Divayati Lavamai Sadurmati Take Jeta Katina Shangshare Krishna Bodha Doyamoy Koribare Jivajay Shaprasana Dilobai Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Preme Dako Chaitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swapa Punya Vatam Raja Vishvaso Naivajayate prasade sarva dukhanam hanirasyo prajayate prasana chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishtate. Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad ki jai, Go Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna.